Alright. Yo! Whoa! What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Anime over here. Coming back at you with part 10. What if Naruto was like Minato? I was supposed to drop this last night. But if you watch that video, I had a whole long recording session. It was very fun. And it was a funny video, right? But my microphone was turned off for the entirety of it. So I just decided it would be better to do it tomorrow instead of try to, replicate what I had done previously and not do it as enthusiastically or without as much oomph behind it. So with that, today's the day, actually, where I'm supposed to be starting my new series. I'm looking to drop about 3 videos today. This is going to come out around 2:30. The next one's probably going to come out around, 5, 6. And then hopefully we can start my new series somewhere in that time frame. Now, I'm not ending this series, obviously. We're 10 parts in. I want to finish this one. I want to finish the entirety of this book. And I'm appreciative that people are enjoying it. So I'm not ending this one, but there is another one that I also want to read at the same time. You feel me? But I've just been waiting for this piece of equipment to come in before I started that. So yeah, with that, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Shoot! Let's get in the video. Naruto had the others arranged into a formation. Sasuke and Sakura would guard Tazuna from the front, while he would protect them from the rear. Sasuke had rudely questioned who had made him the leader. Naruto had coolly responded that if he had a better idea, then speak up. As Naruto suspected, Sasuke didn't exactly have a lot of bright ideas. With a glare hot enough to burn metal, he growled at Naruto. Just because I'm doing this doesn't mean you can order me around, dope. You'll tell me everything about your sensing ability. Naruto had sighed at that. It seemed Sasuke's inferiority complex was acting up. Also, probably because of what happened with Zabuza and the Demon Brothers. Maybe he was also pissed about seeing the Hunter Nin from before. Someone their age and already being a part of the Hunter Nin program must have set him off. Thankfully, he made it to Tazuna's house without any more attacks. They all saw it, the lakeside house. They all waited on the porch as Tazuna went and knocked on the door. After a minute, the door swung open and a slim, pretty woman rushed out and embraced Tazuna. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her. Must be his daughter. Tosan, I'm glad you're safe, she spoke with obvious relief in her voice, before she spotted the ninja behind him. She gave them a small bow. I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Tsunami. Please come in. Is he hurt? She asked, pointing towards the half-conscious Kakashi on the stretcher. Her eyes widened at the 3 identical blondes, but she was quick to recover. Oh, shoot, why? I don't know why I get tired when I record. It's so weird. Naruto spoke. He simply exhausted Tsunami-san. Is there a room where we can put him? She smiled and moved aside for them to come inside. Sasuke and Sakura removed their shinobi sandals and went inside, while Naruto first removed Kakashi's sandals and then removed his shoes going inside. The small gesture of caring brought an unseen smile onto Kakashi's face. Tsunami answered, I just need to put down a futon. I'm sorry, but I didn't get your names. Sakura smiled. Haruno Sakura, Tsunami-san. Tsunami smiled tightly at her. Something about this girl just unsettled her. She has that personality. Sasuke was much ruder. Uchiha Sasuke. He barely glanced at her, dismissing her as unimportant. Naruto threw him a dirty glare for that, which was wholeheartedly reciprocated. Naruto turned around and smiled. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, Tsunami-san. Nice to meet you. When you are nice to others, they are nice to you. This was demonstrated when Tsunami returned his easy grin and replied, Nice to meet you too, Naruto-kun. Follow me upstairs where you can lay your sensei down for rest. After the futon was laid down and Kakashi on it, Naruto just stared at the wall blankly, processing what happened to them so far. A hand on the shoulder snapped him out of a trance. He looked up to see Tsunami's face, full of concerns. It was a bit strange having someone look at him like that. It gave him a funny feeling in his stomach. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Naruto took some time to respond. I'm okay. Standing up and putting a small smile on his face, he turned around and asked, So, Tsunami-san, how about... San? What the fuck? Tsunami-san, how about I help you cook dinner? It took 2 days for Kakashi to regain consciousness. Naruto dutifully changed his bandages, helped Tsunami cook dinner, and kept watch on Kakashi, while Sakura and Sasuke, well, they really didn't do much significant. Sasuke trained. Sakura did too, but not as much. She only did a little before sitting on a rock and watching Sasuke with hearts in her eyes. What those two didn't know was that 20 of Naruto's shadow clones divided into two groups and were learning the new jutsus that Naruto brought with him, far deep in the forest. Naruto was in Kakashi's room, drawing up ideas for new types of flash tags and explosive tags, when he noticed Kakashi's breath hitch. Putting his sealing supplies aside, he walked over and knelt down, removing the wet cloth from Kakashi's forehead. Something just in case Kakashi caught a fever. "Sensei," he whispered. He saw as Kakashi attempted to get up while keeping his eyes closed. He placed a firm hand on the man's shoulder, pushing the man back down. That would be unwise, considering it might set your recovery back. Kakashi opened his eyes, with a pained groan persisting even when the light seemed to burn through his eye. After finally opening his eye, he looked around and assessed... Oh, snap. I don't know why I keep doing that. Oh, my gosh. That they had made it safely to Tazuna's house. He figured that his genin might have gotten pretty bored, especially Sasuke, if the occasional tremors indicated Sasuke's great fireball to burn off some steam. He looked up to his side, seeing a mildly concerned Naruto looking down at him with his azure eyes. He was reminded of another blonde who used to give him the same look. He pushed that aside and smiled cheerfully. "Oh, hello, Naruto." A small smile came onto his face. He replied back, "About time you woke up. I'll alert the others." He stood up and walked over to the window, saw what he had been seeing for the past 2 days. Sakura was sitting on the ground, having hearts in her eyes, and Sasuke blowing off trees. He decided to break their peace. "Hey, Sakura, duck ass!" He ignored Kakashi's snort at the nickname. "Sensei's awake!" With that, he went back to Kakashi's side, not even checking if they were coming or not. 2 minutes later, Sakura and Sasuke walked through the door. Coming to stand in front of their sensei, Sakura sat down in a whirl of pink and red, exclaiming in relief, "Sensei, you're awake!" Naruto quietly scoffed and looked to his side. She was saying it as if she was the one looking after him for the past 2 days. Skipping her training, quick to claim others' credit, isn't she? Kurama's voice spoke, faintly lined with disgust. Naruto mentally rose an eyebrow. "Quite a long nap you took." Then he shrugged. "Also, she's not taking credit. She's just useless. She just wants to be seen doing something. I'm actually glad Sensei kept his Sharingan covered. Otherwise, he would hate to accidentally copy her uselessness," he commented, prompting a snort of laughter from the fox. Kakashi decided to find out what he'd missed. "So, what happened after I went down?" Sakura spoke before Naruto could. "Well, after you went down, we carried you to Tazuna's house. You've been out for 2 days, Kakashi-sensei. We've been training and guarding the house." Bro, oh my gosh. I hate people like that. Oh my gosh. Bro, listen, don't you also hate it when somebody takes the credit for something that you did? Like, oh my gosh. Y'all had to have been in school, but like, y'all remember in middle school when you would tell a joke and then somebody would hear that joke, think, "Oh shoot, that's funny, let me snag that," and then say the joke louder and then take credit for the joke? Oh my gosh, that used to get me so tight. I would be so mad. I used to hate that stuff. Let me know if that happened to you before. That's happened to me many a times. And I'm a funny dude, you feel me? Yeah, but I digress, and let's continue. Naruto wanted to say that she's only been fangirling Sasuke, who was the only one who watched the house. He also wanted to say that he's been taking care of Kakashi the whole time, but decided that it would look very petty on his part, and opted to keep quiet. Also, what they didn't know wouldn't hurt him. He decided to speak up. "Sensei, we're going to have to train to fight Zabuza again," he said with a serious look on his face. Sasuke turned to him, an eyebrow raised as if mocking him. "Zabuza died when the hunter nin hit him with the senbone, or did you forget that, dope?" Sakura nodded, as always in favor of Sasuke. Does she even think for herself, or does she just follow him, he mused. Naruto shook his head. "I never forget, Sasuke, but you probably have forgotten what we read about hunter nin in the academy. They're supposed to destroy the body on the spot, not take it away. Also, the senbone hit a very specific spot on the back of the neck." He trailed off, opting for Kakashi to continue. Sakura scoffed. "Please, Naruto. Sensei checked and there was no pull..." "I'm afraid that Naruto is right, Sakura. It is very much possible that Zabuza is alive," Kakashi grimly said. Sakura and Sasuke both had disbelieving expressions. Letting Kakashi continue, the back of the neck where the senbone hit, I think that the nin most likely put Zabuza in a death-like state, which is most likely why I couldn't find a pulse as it was too weak. He further explained, the weapon that nin used has a low fatality rate unless it hits a critical spot. The nin took Zabuza with him, even though Zabuza was much heavier than him. Also, he used a weapon with a low fatality rate. With these 2 points, we can conclude that the nin wanted to help Zabuza. Oh lord. Tazuna looked skeptical. Is it possible that you're overthinking this? Kakashi replied was swift. No. Once a ninja feels that there's something out of place, they must prepare for it before it's too late. Naruto... What the hell? My dog just growled. Oh my gosh. Naruto folded his arms across his chest. So how long do you think we have, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi... I smiled. Don't worry, my cute little students. I don't need... Wait, what the hell? Where am I now? Oh, there we go. I skipped ahead. Kakashi rubbed his chin in thought and said, I'd say about 1 week. He'll need that much time to come back to full strength from a death-like state. At least that's what I'd need as well. Sakura gave him a look as if he was crazy. Sensei, how are we supposed to train if you're to rest? Obviously, bro. Bro, just stating the obvious. Kakashi, I smiled. Don't worry, my cute little students. I don't need much to train you. A crutch is all I need. That's disrespectful and funny as hell if you think about it. Excuse me, everyone. Dinner is ready. A voice came from downstairs, and all of them turned to look at Tsunami, who was wiping her hands off on the towel. Kakashi, I smiled at her and asked, Hello, you might be? Tsunami smiled. Oh, so you finally woken up. Naruto-kun took very good care of you. He looked at Naruto, who had a faint blush on his cheeks and was looking away, arms still crossed. Kakashi resisted the urge to ruffle his hair because the kid looked damn cute right now. Oh my god, bro. I don't think this author understands how suspect that statement sounds. The kid looked damned cute right now. What? Bro, suspect. Suspect. I digress. Let's continue. Anyways, I'm Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter. Pleased to meet you, she bowed. Kakashi bowed as much as he could while sitting. Pleased to meet you too, Tsunami-san. Tsunami turned to Naruto. Please help your sensei down, Naruto-kun. And thank you for your shadow clones help in the kitchen. Naruto waved his hands. They're excellent. They're an excellent kitchen crew for me too. Don't mention it. With that, Sakura and Sasuke filed out of the room, not bothering to help Kakashi up because they're freaking rude. Well, Sasuke's just rude. Sakura's just, an ass. They're both rude as hell, but damn. Crazy, bruh. Crazy. Naruto gave a disgusted shake of his head and stood up, putting Kakashi's left arm over his shoulder. He then helped him up, supporting his full weight like it was nothing. Arigato, Naruto, for taking care of me. Kakashi murmured, I smiling. It was quite weird for him. Only two cared for him like Naruto did in the last 2 days, and they were both Naruto's parents. Naruto shook his head, smiling. You are my sensei. I didn't do it because it was my duty to take care of you like you do. I did it because I wanted to. Kakashi gazed at Naruto with a wide eye. He ignored it and slowly helped the man downstairs, using what little strength he had. He pulled Naruto into a one-armed hug. Naruto initially stiffened, but relaxed after a few seconds. No words needed to be spoken. He helped Kakashi sit on the table and sat beside him, close in case he needed to feed him, but he hoped Kakashi had enough pride to not face fall during eating. The small gesture caused Tsunami to smile. Such a sweet boy. Kakashi couldn't stop the eye smile. He didn't show it, but he was glad there was someone like Naruto to care for him. Kami knows he has no one left to close to him right now. This feeling made him want to do everything not to disappoint Naruto. Naruto gazed at the small boy who was sitting beside Tazuna. Somehow he cast a somber atmosphere around him. Half of his face was hidden beneath his hat. Tazuna smiled and spoke up. Inari, greet these nice ninja. They will make sure I'm safe while I'm building my super bridge. Inari looked up at Naruto, and immediately Naruto understood why the boy felt so sad. He had that look in his eyes. He'd lost someone very dear to him. But Gigi, they're all going to die! He cried out as if he was stating a fact. Naruto suddenly understood the boy's position a whole lot better. So instead of being angry, he just felt a deep sense of empathy and sadness for the young child. Of course, Sasuke didn't take it too well. You don't know that, brat. His voice had a little bit of scorn added into it with his usual rudeness. Naruto's head snapped to glare at him. Sasuke! He He snapped. That was not how someone talks to a child, particularly a child with that look in his eyes. Sasuke returned the glare, but he to turn his eyes away. What the hell is that? It was not my fault. That's the book. But he to turn his eyes away. Okay. But he turned his eyes away. I'm just gonna say it like that. He turned his eyes away. He didn't speak after that. Dinner went quietly after that. Though Naruto got a bit embarrassed when Tsunami thanked him for his help for cleaning the dishes. Sorry, I'm stretching. They set up their beds in a separate room. Naruto and Sasuke would take the room with Kakashi. Sakura would share with Tsunami as soon as he went into the bathroom and quickly made a half-ram seal sign to dispel all the shadow clones. As the memories came into his mind, he sorted through them and clicked his tongue in annoyance. The two jutsus needed a lot of work. The futon jutsu was a bit too complicated, so it would require time. He had to first gather air in his lungs, which was the easy part. The hard part was the shape manipulation. It's not easy to compress all that air into an explosive ball of high density. He also had to be extremely cautious about that. If the ball exploded inside him, well, game over. All of his clones practicing this jutsu were dispelled because of this, so Naruto had to discreetly create another batch and have them flash to the other clones' locations. It also was taking him too long to do all of this. Well, I can personally work on it tomorrow now that Kakashi-sensei is awake, he thought. The Suiton Jutsu was not as hard as the Wind Jutsu, just tricky. He already knew how to expel water from his mouth, but making the jet of water highly pressurized so it could cut through stone was no piece of cake. Still, his clones managed to make it sharp enough to put a deep scratch on the bark, but not cut through it. Better than nothing. I have to master these two jutsu before we confront Zabuza again, he thought resolutely. He walked out of the bathroom and laid down on his bed, closing his eyes and trying to work out theories to master the jutsus faster. He found himself laying beside Kurama inside their mindscape, and it looked like he wanted to talk. You had quite a fight, he remarked, looking faintly amused. Naruto shot a blank look at him. Just how long do you sleep in a single stretch anyways? Kurama gave a graceful shrug as he settled his head on his hands, eyes gazing peacefully at the moon. Depends. How you've handled your first fight went quite well, he commented. Naruto raised his eyebrow, unimpressed. You were impressed with my fight with the demon brothers? Naruto... Back up. Kurama returned his own unimpressed stare. I don't mean those weaklings. I meant Zabuza. You kept your mind calm, analyzed the situation, figured the best way to escape, and a way to attack your enemy. Nice touch with the Hiraishin, by the way. It gives you a way to track him now, he said, grinning at the end. Naruto smiled. Thanks, it means a lot. Kurama sat up. I saw you had a little trouble with the two new jutsu. Naruto gave a grunt. The fox glanced at him. If you want, I can give you advice on how to master them quickly. He got the decided response as Naruto sat up, curiosity almost burning in his eyes. Really? Thank you so much, Kurama. He smiled, his big blue shining out a bit. Kurama made a disgusted face. Keep your sappiness to yourself, you brat. Naruto laughed. Sorry, couldn't resist it. He didn't look sorry at all. After he finished laughing, he gave Kurama his full attention. Kurama began his explanation. Your futon jutsu is only a bit tough. If you look at it closely, you're overthinking it. What you should do is you gather air inside you, gather it in a way that is spinning and compressed. That way you can control its explosive effect and power. It should be fast enough to catch someone off guard, so build up a lot of pressure simultaneously when you create the ball of air. By creating a bit of a vacuum, use that pressure to give explosion speed to your ball. Jesus, that is complicated. Also, let me get a sip of water real quick. Alright, if you don't know, I use a reusable aluminum bottle. I don't know why you would know that. Yeah, I don't like to use plastic water bottles. I feel like they're kind of wasteful, and yeah, so I just use reusable water bottles. I have this one, it's a little thicker, and then I have this one, it's more like it's kind of like a can, actually. Actually, it is a can, because it's like recycled parts from soda cans, and then they used it to make okay, I digress. I'll continue. Yeah. Where are we? Oh, there we go. Alright. Naruto nodded, having made sense of his entire explanation. He would try that tomorrow and hopefully prevent a Sasuke tantrum. If he saw what Naruto was practicing, he would throw a fit. Kurama continued, your Suiton jutsu isn't hard as you think. Think of it this way. If you have a pipeline with water blowing out onto the wall, you would only get the wall wet. But if that pipeline's opening was made a whole lot smaller, he left it to Naruto to finish his line of thinking, but he wasn't disappointed. Then the pressure would be considerably high. If the speeds were to be kept the same, the high pressure would make the water sharp enough to cut through the rocks. "You're brilliant, Kurama!" he exclaimed with wide eyes. Kurama looked considerably smug. "Of course I am. The jutsus of you humans are easily laughable to us demons. There are only a few of them we can't do." Naruto shook his head, smiling softly. Kurama was entirely too proud of himself, but Naruto bit his lip, not wanting to offend the demon by pointing out that he got sealed for a total of 3 times. "All right, Kurama, thanks for your tips. I'll master them in no time." He flashed a monstrous grin, which was returned by the demon in front of him. With that, he finally entered REM sleep. REM sleep? REM sleep? Okay, I don't know. I digress. Naruto's eyes opened at his regular time of 5, but he stayed in bed thinking things over. He suspected that Kakashi might know about his use of Haraishin against Zabuza. He hadn't exactly hidden himself with smoke bombs after all. And Zabuza might have been surprised by his trick, but Kakashi had already seen it in the bell test, even though it was Kiwarimi. But this time, Kakashi had seen it with his own eyes, with them watching with the Sharingan. There was no way he would dismiss it as a simple replacement. He sighed heavily. He was not looking forward to the talk. There was so much to explain. Realizing his thoughts were leading him into nothing but distress, he got up, hoping to get some morning air. Keeping his steps quiet so as to not disturb Kakashi and Sasuke, he dressed up and headed out, hoping to put Kurama's theories to the test. He got outside, getting some relief from the slight chill of the morning air. He allowed his senses to spread, and a tidy frown made it onto his face when he sensed someone making their way behind him. Noiseless steps, probably hoping to catch him off guard. "I didn't know you were awake, Kakashi-sensei." "Well, I wasn't until I heard you move out." He came up beside him, eyes scrunched up in a smile. Naruto returned a small smile. The two of them sat in silence for a while, lost in their own thoughts. Kakashi finally broke the silence with a question. "What was that jutsu on the bridge, Naruto?" Donde? There we go. Even though he had prepared for the question to be asked, Naruto still caught off guard. Kakashi noticed the minute flinch that Naruto couldn't hide, accompanied by a slight fearful glint in his eyes. Realizing he had probably scared the boy, he backtracked. "I was just curious, Naruto. It was something like what you tried in the bell test." He trailed off, silently asking Naruto to elaborate. Naruto hated when Kakashi got like this, demanding answers from him, and the worst thing was that Naruto had no reason to hide anything from him. Steeling himself, he looked into Kakashi's single eye. "Before I say anything, Kakashi-sensei, can you promise me that you will keep this to yourself and only yourself?" If Kakashi looked surprised by his request, he didn't show it. He wondered just what Naruto was hiding that was so important as to not tell his team members. He was also requesting total secrecy, but Kakashi drew the line there. He narrowed his eyes. "If Hokage-sama asks me, then it's my duty to tell him, Naruto." Naruto relaxed a bit at that. The old man already knows of this. Kakashi too relaxed at that. Keeping secrets from his leader, then having the said leader interrogate you, was not fun at all. Where are we at? "So will you show me?" Wait. Oh, there we go. "So will you show me?" The slight hope in his eyes and his voice made Naruto smile, if only a little. Naruto gestured to his hand, where his sleeve was folded, exposing his wrist before the metal-plated gloves. Kakashi shrugged, offering his wrist. "Sure." Naruto wrapped his hand around Kakashi's wrist for a moment, then let go, turning back to watch the sun rise. Kakashi examined his wrist curiously, wanting to find out just what Naruto did. His eyes widened, and he almost choked on his spit upon seeing a seal formula that looked remarkably similar to what his sensei used. His neck snapped towards Naruto, who was looking back at him with a smirk. Is this... "Yup, sure is," Naruto claimed proudly. "But unlike this Flash, the Flash is blue, since my chakra's a deep blue, you know." Kakashi tried to recover from the surprise that Naruto had figured out the technique that made the Yondai Maid the most feared shinobi across all the lands. Trying to keep his voice steady, he said, "Can you demonstrate?" Naruto frowned but nodded. He flashed up to a tree that was about 100 meters away, missing Kakashi's look of surprise at the use. Without wasting any time, he flashed behind Kakashi, the Jonin's neck turning so fast Naruto swore he heard a crack. Kakashi's mind was blown out of proportions when he saw the blue flash of Naruto's Hiraishin. The fact that Naruto had mastered one of the most complicated jutsus and techniques he had ever seen, hell, even his sensei had ever seen, was nothing short of stupefying. He recovered and looked at Naruto, who was watching him carefully. I can see why you wanted to keep this a secret. Sasuke would throw a fit if he saw you using something like that, Kakashi admitted. He could already imagine the scene. Naruto hummed. Not at all bothered. He'll keep it a secret until the Chunin exams, and if Sasuke finds out before that, it's not like he could do anything. Sasuke could throw all the tantrums he wants. He would never be able to learn the Flying Thunder God ever. It's not like Sasuke can do anything. The amount of understanding of Fuin Jutsu, Chakra theory, along with the dimension of space-time was just unreal. He won't be able to make it beyond just level 7 Fuin Jutsu. Also, space-time is a very rarely studied branch of ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. I very much doubt the Uchiha Library has any materials related to that. I was lucky my father had done his research so thoroughly, he shrugged. Kakashi nodded. He would hate to see, even though it was inherently and incredibly selfish of him, his sensei's legacy fall into someone else's hands other than his son. He got up, using the crutches Tazuna was able to find him last night. Come on, let's get breakfast. They arrived inside to find Sasuke and Sakura already at the table, surprised in their eyes when they saw Naruto and Kakashi enter together. Sasuke narrowed his eyes in suspicion, but thankfully kept quiet. Tsunami was mildly surprised. I was just coming to see if you two were out there, Kakashi-san and Naruto-kun. Kakashi smiled. We were just enjoying the morning air outside, Tsunami-san. It's quite peaceful. Tsunami smiled and gestured to the table. Please sit, breakfast is ready. After everyone's breakfast was over, Kakashi took his squad outside into the forest to train. Okay, training will begin now. You will learn chakra-controlled exercises so you don't waste chakra in excess while performing jutsus. This exercise is one of the basics, so you have to master it no matter what. He observed their full reaction closely. Sasuke had a predictably disappointed expression on his face. He was hoping that Kakashi would teach them powerful jutsus, but he conceded the fact that the basics were important to master. There was undeniably a small amount of curiosity on his face. Sakura was also curious, but she was more confused than she was disappointed. She didn't know exactly what Kakashi-sensei was trying to teach her, so she just waited until he explained. Naruto, well, he looked extremely bored of Kakashi. The one-eyed Cyclops found his right eye twitching at the distinctly unimpressed look Naruto was giving him. Sasuke was looking faintly amused at the look Naruto was sending Kakashi. You're gonna teach us tree walking, aren't you? The deadpan in his voice was unmistakable. Kakashi's sweat dropped. This could be trouble. Naruto already knows how to walk on vertical surfaces. I could get him to start on water walking, but then Sasuke and Sakura might get the impression that I'm favoring Naruto. He thought as he tried to figure out a way. But Naruto and Sasuke were starting to get impatient. Naruto spoke up. I already know tree walking, sensei. This revelation caused Sakura and Sasuke to stare at him, one with confusion and one with a twinge of jealousy. Kakashi mentally sighed. No use hiding now. And before you ask, I know water walking as well. Remember when I was standing after pushing Zabuza back? Kakashi's memory was jolted as he suddenly remembered jumping in between Naruto, who had his kunai out-coated in chakra wind chakra, and Zabuza, who was just moments away from beheading a student. Naruto was standing on water. Is he deliberately making this worse for me? Kakashi thought. Sasuke walked up to Naruto with a scowl on his face. When did you learn all this? Naruto raised an eyebrow at him. What will you do if I tell you? Fortunately for Naruto, Sasuke didn't have an answer for this question, and with a deeper scowl than before, he walked back to his place. Kakashi, to avoid any further trouble, immediately explained the exercise. What you have to do, he said while walking up to the tree, is to direct chakra to your soles of your feet. He put a foot onto the bark and stick to the surface. He was now walking perpendicular to the ground until he turned onto a branch and looked up and down to them. Sakura looked at him with awe in her eyes, while Naruto looked at him with narrowed eyes, probably thinking about how this will make him stronger. Naruto mused. Kakashi threw 2 kunai in front of Sasuke and Sakura. Get to it then. As Sakura and Sasuke picked up the kunai and walked away to the tree, Kakashi slowly walked down to Naruto, who was simply looking at him. What do you plan on doing? Naruto said, I am currently working on 2 jutsus that I took from the Shinobi Library. I am planning on mastering them before tomorrow night. Kakashi rose an eyebrow. Nobody can master 2 elemental jutsus in just the span of a day, you know. Naruto shrugged. This nobody that you speak of can't use shadow clones like I can, sensei. Kakashi visible eye widened. You know the secret of the Kagebunshin. Naruto smirked. Figured it out a long time ago, sensei. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be training. Try to keep Sasuke away from me if you can. With that, he flash-stepped away, leaving a gaping Kakashi. Naruto had found out that Kurama had hit the bullseye on the analysis of both the jutsus. He created 40 shadow clones, divided them into 2 groups to practice while he tested the memories of last night on himself. He was able to reduce the time required to form the compressed, explosive ball of air. But it took the clones the better part of 4 hours to reduce the time required to form the highly pressurized amount of air inside him to launch the ball off at high speeds. At the end of 5 hours, he was panting, sweat flowing down like waterfall on his upper body. All of his clones were dispelled, including the ones practicing the Suiton Jutsu, just to return him the chakra needed for one last try at the jutsu before he fell to chakra exhaustion. Naruto had his hands on his knees, trying to get his breath under control. Once he had, he wasted no more time in thinking. Speeding through the hand seals, he mentally shouted, "Futon, Kaze Gyorai no Jutsu!" He expelled a compressed ball of air from his mouth at a great force at the tree. His satisfaction knew no bounds when the ball exploded on the bark, blowing away a giant section of it and making the tree fall. He chuckled tiredly, falling on his back. Man, these elemental jutsu sure are tiring. Kurama, would you mind replenishing my reserves just enough so I could walk? I'd rather not eat the soldier pill I have. Kurama's chakra rushed into his system, though not enough that he went into a rage or was full of energy again. He groaned as he sat up, putting on his t-shirt and jacket. He walked back to the house, thoughts of tasty food filling his mouth. He walked across the clearing when he heard the sound of bark exploding. Curious, he walked towards it and had to suppress the chuckles in him. Sasuke was tree climbing and falling off. Naruto could see with the many slashes on the bark that showed Sasuke had improved much in one day, but was nowhere near the top. Naruto would have moved away if it wasn't for Sasuke discovering him and calling out, "Naruto, is that you?" Naruto turned around. Yep. Awkward silence descending upon them as Naruto waited for Sasuke to speak, while Sasuke did not know what to say. Naruto, tired of the silence, made to walk away when Sasuke called out to him. And dare he think he was hesitant and nervous? Well, Naruto raised an eyebrow. It's rare for him to come talk to me, especially that he's hesitating. Sasuke glanced away, a faint blush on his cheeks and voice hesitating. You said you have mastered this exercise before, right? Can you give me any tips? Naruto was inwardly laughing with Kurama at how awkward Sasuke looked while asking him. As much as I hate to say this, he looks more normal than his usual arrogant self. On the outside, he smiled and walked to Sasuke, putting a hand on his shoulder. Sasuke looked surprised by this, even when he heard Naruto speak. You know, you could save a lot of trouble for yourself if you just asked instead of demanding. Amusingly, the faint blush on his face was instantly replied by his regular scowl. Naruto spoke up before Sasuke. But I'll help you. You know, out of the goodness of my heart, he added sarcastically. Sasuke reminded him to calm down. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to master the exercise. Hell, even Sakura mastered it before him. He was never in this position of being last ever. Naruto spoke, holding up a finger. First, Chakra uses your spiritual energy. So don't be tense or angry because basically don't allow your emotions to reach an extreme point. Second, relax and concentrate on your energy. Collect a constant amount of chakra at the bottom of your feet. That's all I'll tell you. Sasuke nodded, and for the first time in his life, he thanked someone other than his family. Thank you. Naruto simply smiled and turned around. Though, you should save it for tomorrow. Dinner's ready, and it's no use training on an empty stomach. Sorry, I'm stretching. Sasuke looked like he wanted to train more, but ultimately agreed on dinner, and they walked away. Dinner was a quiet affair. After eating, Naruto helped Tsunami wash the dishes as the others relaxed. Sakura was inspecting a picture on the wall. He had a piece torn off from it, which she inquired about, and how Inari was gazing at it. Tazuna replied the person whose face was torn off was the hero of this town. The atmosphere of the room was somber. Inari had walked off after that, his mother going after him to console him. Tazuna told him the story of Inari's stepfather, about how he considered a hero by everyone and how Gato killed him. Inari had begun to rely on the man to the point where he wouldn't stand up for himself. Gato had killed to destroy any form of hope in the land and succeeded, traumatizing Inari in the process. Naruto digested this. Sakura turned to Kakashi. No. Sakura spoke up. Where are you going, Naruto? Naruto didn't turn back as he answered, I've got some unfinished training to do. That was all he said before the door was gently shut. Sakura turned to Kakashi. What's up with him? Kakashi shrugged. Okay. So that is the end of the chapter. This just goes along like the scene where Zabuza is waking up from his comatose-like state. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry that I sped through that episode a little quickly. It's just the last one, I made a lot of jokes in between, and it was just like a longer recording session. So I was really not eager to reread this chapter. I'm looking to move on to the next chapter. Yeah, but that was chapter 10 of What If Naruto was like Minato, otherwise known as Return of the Flash. And if you want to read this, I put the name of the book and the app that I use to read it in the description below. Shoot, man, I'm feeling a little tired. I don't know why. Low-key, does anybody else have this problem? But, like, I don't sleep until, like, 2 a.m. And then I got to wake up at, like, 6 a.m. for school. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But, shoot. I don't know if I have anything else to say. Hopefully later today, this might be the last video that you hear with this audio quality because my thing's supposed to come in. Like I said, I'm looking, hopefully, this is not like a concrete thing. I haven't recorded these videos yet. But ideally, I'm looking to drop and release 3 different videos today. One of them I want to be this. The other one I want to be probably part 11 of this. And then the third one I want it to be the start of a new series. I'm going to start it, let it sit for like a day or two before continuing just to see if it gets like some good, if it gets received well or if somebody even likes it, like if anybody watches it. And if people do watch it and people enjoy it, then I'm just going to keep going with it because I'm looking to start venturing out and doing like a lot of things, I really like these what ifs. I'm looking to write one of my own eventually, inevitably, once I get a little more time, because there's testing going on, there's schooling going on. But once I get a little time, I'm looking to write one of my own. And, yeah. Also, the reason it being is that the reason that these episodes might be a little like that there's not a concrete schedule is because I do all of these in one take. I do them all in one take because if I don't have an editing software and I don't know any good ones on iPhone that can actually that are basically organized in a manner that's easy to use and comfortable to use, and I don't know any of them. So if you guys know any of them, let me know down below. I'd love to improve the quality of the videos as well. And yeah, with that, shoot, it's your boy Anime Ambu. I'm out. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. The secret word is aluminum. And yeah, I'm out. Shoot. Bye-bye.